Hello everyone. Welcome to the video series of system programming and compiler construction. In my previous video, I started with the concept of bottom-up parsing. We saw two types of bottom-up parser in that video. One was shift-reduce parser and the other was operator precedence parser. We solved one example on both the topics. That is, we solved one example on operator precedence parser and we solved one numerical on shift reduce parser. In this video, we will take one more example on operator precedence parser so that the concept will be more clear. And also, I will be starting with one of the top-down parser, that is LL1 parser. LL1 parser is very important from examination point of view. You will see one numerical at least asked on LL1 parser in your paper, so the concept is very important. So let us start with the concept of operator precedence parser. Let us solve the numerical which is visible on the screen. The steps which are required to solve an operator precedence parser is, the first step is to check whether the given grammar is an operator grammar or not. I repeat, the first step is to check whether the given grammar is an operator grammar or not. Just to revise, the rules for operator grammar is, first, there should not be any epsilon production on the right hand side of the arrow. So if you observe, there is no epsilon production on the right hand side of the arrow. The second rule is no two capital letters should be beside each other. So if you observe, there are two capital letters which are beside each other. So the given grammar is not an operator grammar. So the first step is you mention that the given grammar is not an operator grammar. If the grammar is not operator grammar, then we need to modify the grammar if possible. If you observe in this example, I can modify my grammar into an operator grammar by replacing B with its production. So my new production will be S, B replaced by its production, and the remaining production will be as it is. So this is how my grammar is updated to an operator grammar. I repeat, to convert the given grammar into operator grammar, I have replaced B with its production, that is a division sign, and the remaining grammar will be as it is. That is, this production will not be modified, and in my updated grammar, this production will be removed because the production is already been replaced in the production of S. So this production will be removed. Step 2. What is step 2? Step 2 is to create precedence table. The second step is to create precedence table. Let us understand how a precedence table is created. So this is my precedence table. If you observe the given grammar, the terminals which are used in the given grammar are plus sign, division sign, opening bracket, closing bracket, and ID. So I will add all those in my rows and column: plus, divide, opening bracket, closing bracket, ID. And we add one more column for dollar. Whatever values are there in my column, the same values will be copied in my row. Now using the rules of precedence, we will fill this particular table. Let us start. The plus is compared with plus. Now when I'm comparing two signs of same priority, then I check the associativity of that operator. Plus and plus being left associative, I will give higher priority to the operator which is there on the left hand side. When I compare plus with divide, plus has less priority. Now, just to revise once more, whenever we compare any operator with an opening bracket, the sign will be the less than sign. I had taken this in my previous video. Whenever I encounter an opening bracket, I will always give a less than sign, And whenever I'm comparing a closing bracket with any operator, I will give a greater than sign. Plus and id, when I'm comparing, obviously plus has lesser priority than id, and plus and dollar, when I'm comparing, plus will have a greater priority. Let us see one more example or one more row. Division plus, division has greater priority. Division, they are of same priority. So we go with left associativity rule, and hence left division sign will get a greater than sign. Opening bracket compared to any operator, or operator compared to any opening bracket, the sign always will be a less than sign. So whenever you encounter an opening bracket, make sure you give a less than sign. Similarly, when you encounter a closing bracket, just give a greater than sign. Division and ID, obviously division has lesser priority. Division and dollar, obviously division will have a higher priority because dollar observes least priority. Coming to next, opening bracket and plus. As I said, when I observe an opening bracket, I give a less than sign. Opening and division, less than sign. Opening, less than sign. This is important. When I get an opening bracket and I'm comparing a closing bracket. So here if you observe, I'm comparing opening bracket with a closing bracket. I will give an equal to sign over here. Remember this, opening bracket when compared to closing bracket, I will give a equal to sign. Again, opening bracket and id, so it will be a less than sign. Opening sorry, opening bracket and dollar because has the least priority, obviously opening bracket will get a greater priority. Next, closing and plus, greater. Closing and divide, greater. Closing and opening, now pay attention, this is important. Whenever we write any expression for a programming language, we cannot see an opening bracket immediately followed by a closing bracket, or we cannot have a closing bracket immediately followed by a opening bracket. Say for example, if I have this expression 5 plus 3 and I write 5 minus 3. Now if you observe, this is valid in maths, but in programming this is not valid. I cannot see a closing bracket followed immediately by an opening bracket. A closing bracket and an opening bracket should be separated by some mathematical operator. Hence, when a closing bracket is compared to an opening bracket, you give an error sign over here. You can simply write error or you can write E. Now, closing, you put a greater than sign. Now, again, if you observe, after closing, suppose if I have closed this expression over here, after closing, I cannot write a number over here. This number, that is a closing bracket, should be followed by some operator, then I have to give a number or any ID. Hence, a closing bracket when followed by an ID, I will get an error. Closing bracket when followed by an ID, I will get an error. Closing and dollar, obviously closing will get a greater priority. ID observes highest priority, so I will give highest priority to ID. Again, ID and opening bracket. I cannot have an ID and opening bracket in my equation, so I just write an error over here. ID and closing bracket, ID has greater priority. ID, we do not put any sign over here. ID and dollar, ID has greater priority. Dollar observes least priority, so I will be giving less than sign for my dollar over here, and dollar we write accept. So this is how my precedence table is created for the given grammar. Now, what is my next step? After my precedence table is done, the next step is to create, that is my step 3 is to create, my step 3 is to add dollar at the end of the string. So the string to be parsed is highlighted in red over here. So I take my string, I add dollar to the end of the string. So the third step is Write your string and append dollar at its end. That is done. Step 4 is to create parsing table. So in my parsing table, I will be parsing the given string. Let us see my parsing table. So this is my parsing table over here. We know that we start our stack with dollar. Whatever the input is given, I will be mentioning this input in my stack, and the input ends with a dollar sign. Now what we do is we start comparing dollar and the first uh, operator of my input. So dollar, when compared to a less than sign, dollar has least priority, so it is a less than sign. You can keep this table in front of you. So if you just observe, dollar and an opening bracket has a less than sign, dollar and opening bracket has a less than sign. So according to rule, less than sign is shift, greater than sign is reduce. So I will be performing a shift operation, dollar opening bracket. My string is left with id plus id closing bracket, divide id and dollar. Now I compare opening bracket and id. Opening bracket and id, let us again check the table. Opening bracket compared with id. So opening bracket compared with id, the answer is less than sign. So I put a less than sign over here. Because it is a less than sign, I again shift. So my stack will be updated as id. Here I will be left with plus id round bracket slash id and dollar. Now what I do is I compare id and plus. We know that id has highest priority, so it is a greater than sign. When you see a greater than sign, what you have to do? We have to do reduce. So I will say reduce. Now for reducing, if you observe the grammar, I will be using the grammar rule a giving id, and reduction means replacing id with a. Okay, reduce may, I have just written what is the grammar rule applied, and whenever I am reducing, I will replace id with a, and my grammar or sorry, my input will remain as it is. My input will be as it is. Okay, now I compare a. No, pay attention. I cannot compare a capital letter with the input. So, if I observe a capital letter, I ignore that capital letter and I compare the symbol which is immediately before my capital letter. I repeat, a capital letter cannot be compared with the input. Hence, I ignore my capital letter and I check the operator which is immediately before a capital letter. So here it is an opening bracket. Opening bracket and plus. Opening bracket and plus. Again it is a less than sign. So I will shift. Thus my stack will be updated as, my input will be updated as id closing bracket divided by id and dollar. Now I compare plus and id. Obviously plus has the less than sign. So I again shift, and hence my stack will be updated as a plus id. My input will be slash id. Sorry, my input will be closing bracket divide id and dollar. So now id is compared to opening bracket. So id has greater priority. I will use reduce and I will be replacing id with a. So my stack will be, because of reduce, id is replaced by a, and my input will be as it is. Again, I cannot compare a capital letter with my input, hence I ignore the capital letter and I observe the symbol or the operator which is immediately before my capital letter. Here it is plus. So plus is compared with a closing bracket. When plus is compared with a closing bracket, the sign is closing, pluses have a greater than sign. So again I will reduce. If you observe, the grammar rule which I will be using is reduce A giving A plus A. Thus in my stack, A plus A will be replaced by A. Okay, this A plus A is replaced by A. My input will be as it is. I hope this step is understood. Plus is compared to a closing bracket. You can just check the table. Plus is compared. Plus is compared to a closing bracket. It is a greater than sign. Because it is a greater than sign, I have applied reduce property. And when I say reduce, A plus A is replaced by A. Now I compare opening bracket to a closing bracket. Opening and closing, the sign which is given is, opening and closing, the sign which is given is an equal to sign. If it is equal to sign, I again shift. Hence, my stack would be $A. Closing bracket is shifted. My input is ID and dollar. Okay, so this is shift operation done. Now I compare closing bracket with a division sign. Closing and a division sign, let us check. Closing and a division sign. Closing has highest priority. So because it is greater than sign, I reduce, and I will use this grammar rule for reducing. That is reduce S giving A. Hence in my next step, I will update my stack. That is, I replace opening A closing bracket with S, and my input string will be divide ID. Now I have S, that means I have to compare dollar. So when I compare dollar with divide, dollar has least priority, less than sign, I shift. So it is dollar S divide, I will be left with ID dollar. Now I compare divide and ID. Again divide has a less than sign, so I shift. I hope you all are understanding. I'm not going very fast in my explanation. So with shift, it is $S divide, ID is shifted. I am left with dollar in my input. Now I compare ID and dollar. So yes, ID has highest priority. Hence the reduce grammar, the grammar which I will be using for reducing is A giving ID. Thus my stack will be updated as S divide by, because of reduce, ID is replaced with A and my input is dollar. Now I compare division sign and dollar. Yes, division has highest priority, so I again reduce. So if you just observe here the grammar was updated. Check. Here the grammars were updated. So this grammar rule I will be using. It is reduce S giving S divided by A. Thus my my stack will be updated. S divided by A is replaced with S. I have dollar over here. Now I compare dollar dollar. So if you remember dollar dollar, when compared, I say that the string is accepted. Okay, so this was the complete solution for the given question. This is the given grammar. These are the steps. This is the string to be parsed. This is my complete solution over here, and this is the precedence table for the same. So this is how we solve an operator precedence grammar. Whenever you are attempting your question in exam, make sure you follow the steps which are given here. You identify whether the given grammar is an operator grammar or not. If yes, you go to the second step. If not, you modify the grammar as I did. Then you create your precedence table. Below this step, your precedence table will be written. Step 3, you append dollar at the end of the string. Step 4, this is your parsing table. So this is how an operator precedence grammar numerical is solved. Let us start with top-down parser. LL1 is considered to be one of the top-down parser. LL1 is also important from examination point of view, as I said earlier. What is top-down parsing? Top-down parsing, as the name suggests, starts creating the parse tree from root to bottom. That is, we start with the start symbol and we come deriving our input string. But if you have observed, in bottom-up parsing, we always start with the input string and we derive our root. If you have observed the previous example, when we were scanning our string, we scanned the string we started with the input string and we reduced that input string to the start symbol. But in top-down parsing, we do completely opposite. We start our string, or we start creating our tree from the starting symbol, and then we will be generating our parsing string. LL1 parser. The first L stands for scanning the string from left to right. The second L stands for leftmost derivation. This is the second differentiating point between top-down and bottom-up parsing. The first differentiating point, as I said, is top-down parsing will be creating a tree starting from root going to the leaves, whereas bottom-up parsing will start creating parse tree from leaves and it will go to the root. The second differentiating point is top-down parser always uses LMD for parsing the string. That is, it always uses leftmost derivation for parsing any string. Whereas bottom-up parser uses RMD, that is, rightmost derivation for parsing the string. The one which is written in the bracket is nothing but tells me how many characters I'll look ahead before taking any decision. So here one character look ahead is taken into consideration. To solve to solve a numerical or LL1 parser, we need to follow the 5 steps. The first step is to remove left recursion or left factoring, if any. That is, if the given grammar has any left recursion or any left factoring, then we need to remove. Then the next step is to calculate first and follow. So in this video, I will be teaching you the rules for removing left recursion, what is left recursion. I will also teach what is left factoring and how to remove it, and how to calculate first and follow for a given grammar. The next step is to create parsing table. The third step is to create parsing table. The fourth step is to show the stack implementation. Stack implementation is similar to uh, one we did in operator precedence parser. And the step fifth is to create parse tree. Left recursion. A grammar is said to be left recursive if it has a production of the form mentioned here. If you observe the leftmost variable of RHS, the leftmost variable of RHS is similar to one which is on the LHS. If the grammar is of this form, then you call as the grammar is left recursive. So this because of this production, I'll highlight the production. Because of this production, we say that it is left recursion, and this is any other production of my grammar where there is no left recursion. Now when I talk about left recursion, there can be direct as well as indirect left recursion. In this lecture, I will just concentrate on direct left recursion, but the rule for removing direct or indirect left recursion remains the same. So let us understand what is the rule for removing left recursion. So the rule says whichever symbol, whichever variable shows left recursion, you write that variable. For that variable, the production will be beta a dash. Now, what is beta? Beta is that, or say beta are those production where the left recursion is not visible. So as I said, left recursion is because of this particular production over here, and this production doesn't show any left recursion. So the first rule is write the variable where the left recursion is. For that variable, you write the production as beta a dash, and beta is any other production where there is no left recursion. Since a dash is added in the grammar, I will have to add a production rule for that a dash symbol. A dash is written as A dash gives alpha A dash, followed by, you add one more production of epsilon. So this is the rule for removing left recursion. A giving A alpha or beta, rule says A gives beta A dash. Because A dash is added, you add a production for A dash. A dash gives alpha. What is alpha? Alpha is all that part of my production rule where A is not there. So I will ignore A, I will write alpha, append A dash to it, and add epsilon production to that particular grammar. Let us take an example to understand what left recursion is. So take this example, E giving E plus T, or T or F. I'll just increase the font size so that it is visible. Now, if you observe, we'll first identify whether there is any left recursion or not. So, is there any left recursion? Yes. Because of this E, there is a left recursion visible. So, the letter E and E is repeated here. Anything beside E is considered to be alpha, which I am highlighting it with a red color. So I'll highlight here also alpha with red. So anything in red is considered as alpha. Now if you observe, these things doesn't have E with it. These rules doesn't have E with it, means though those are not a part of left recursive grammar. Hence, I will color it as, say, green. Okay, I'll color it as green so that it is understood. Here my beta, where is my beta? Yeah, here also I color my beta with green so that it is understood. So now if you observe, give me a minute, why it is not coming. Okay, I don't know why it was not coming. I will highlight my betas with green color, and here also I highlight my alpha with red, and my, okay, because I'm giving the colors, it is not happening. Anyways, so if you just observe, this is my, the highlighted part is, the highlighted part in red is my alpha, whereas the highlighted part in green is my beta. Now if I apply rule, my rule will be E giving beta A dash. So my betas are T, I will write E dash, T E dash over here. My F is also a part of my beta, so I write F E dash. So beta part is done. Now I write for E dash. So E dash gives alpha A dash. What is my alpha? My alpha is plus T. So I write plus T, which is my alpha. Then I write E dash, and to that I will add epsilon. So this is how my left recursion is removed. Just to make it little appear properly, I have increased the font size. I'll take one more example here so that it is more clear to you all. Let us take this example. Say for example, E giving E plus T or T, T giving T star F or F, and F giving ID. Now if you observe, first identify where the left recursion is. So yes, this E and E are similar symbols. So here there is left recursion. I highlight my alpha with red. I highlight my beta with green. Okay, I highlight my beta with green. Again, if you observe, T and T, left hand side ka T, right hand side, T is appearing as the first symbol. So again, there is a left recursion. Anything beside a left recursive symbol, I highlight it with red because I call it as my alpha. Anything without left recursive symbol, I call it as beta, and I highlight it with green. Now according to rule, what I do is I write E giving beta A dash. What is my beta? the one which is highlighted in green. So I write beta E dash. I add one more production for E dash. For E dash, I write alpha A dash. My alpha is plus T E dash, and I add a production epsilon. Similarly for T giving beta T dash I will write. So it is beta T dash, and for T dash I will write alpha. My alpha is star F. I append T dash to it and I add epsilon. Sorry, I add epsilon. And if you observe for F production, there is no left recursion. Hence, my F production is written without any changes. So I hope this is visible to everybody. This is my solution for the given grammar. Okay. These are the rules. This is one example which I have taken. This is another example which I have taken for left recursion. I hope everybody have understood what left recursion is all about. Let us understand what left factoring is. So coming here, left factoring. Left factoring says that a grammar is considered to be a left factored grammar if there are multiple productions which starts with the same symbol. So if you observe, there are multiple productions which are starting with the same symbol, that is, this production starts with alpha, this production starts with alpha, this production starts with alpha, but this is a production which does not start with the same symbol, hence hence I have named it as gamma. So whenever there are multiple production starting with the same symbol, you say that it observes left factoring. And what is the rule for left factoring? So the rule for left factoring is, again I write A, because A is the variable where there is left factoring. A gives alpha. Now beside alpha I write A dash, and with this A dash I write all my gamma production over here. So see here, because I have only one gamma production, I write gamma. So the rule for left factoring is alpha followed by A dash. What is alpha? Alpha is those productions, or sorry, alpha is that starting symbol which is visible in multiple production. I will have to add production rule for A dash. With A dash, I write all my betas over here. So I will write beta 1. Give me 1 minute. I will write beta 1 followed by beta 2. Whatever betas I have, I will write, followed by beta, sorry, beta 3. So this is how left factoring is removed. I repeat my explanation once again so that it's more clear. Left factoring means multiple productions starting with the same symbol. Here there are three production, 1, 2 and 3, that starts with alpha, alpha and alpha. Here the production is not starting with alpha, hence I have named it as gamma. The rule says you start with the production rule A. You write that symbol which is repeated multiple times, that is alpha. You add A dash to it, and you add all your gamma production. And A dash will have productions with beta 1, beta 2, and beta 3. Let us take an example for left factoring. So here I'll just take an example. So it is S giving C plus E, or C star E, or C divided by E. Now, is this left factored grammar? Yes. Why? Because if you observe, each production starts with a same starting symbol, that is C. Hence, to remove that, I write S, and I write S के बाद what I write? Alpha A dash. Alpha means what? The symbol which is repeatedly observed in multiple production. Here that symbol is C, so I write C, and this C is followed by A dash. So I write S dash because I have S over here. I write S dash, and I write my gamma production. Now, do I have my gamma production? No. In this case, there is no gamma production, so nothing will be written. Then I will write my S dash, and with this S dash, I will add my beta productions. Here, my beta production is everything after C, which is plus E, star E, and divide E. So this will be added with my S dash. It is plus E, then it will be star E, and then it will be divide E. This is how my left recursion is removed. Give me 1 minute. This is how I remove my left recursion. This is how I remove my left factoring. Let us take one more example over here. This is first example which I have solved. Let us take one more example. Say it is S giving me IETS or IETS ES, and I have A. Now, where is left factoring? If you observe, IETS is a production which is repeated here. IETS is a production which is, or it is a symbol or symbols repeated here. Here, if you observe, there was only one symbol, but here, if you observe, there are multiple symbols. So, if there are multiple symbols also repeated, you call it as alpha. So, this is my alpha. Here, there is no beta. This is my alpha, here my beta is Es, and this is my gamma production. So according to rule, I write S, alpha S dash, alpha S dash, and I add my gamma production, and with S dash I write all my beta production. Now if you observe, in this particular grammar, beta is missing. Whenever beta is missing, you add an epsilon to your beta 1. So if you observe, यहाँ पे beta 1 is missing, and here my beta 2 is ES. I repeat, यहाँ पे beta 1 is missing, but यहाँ पे my beta 1 is ES. So if beta 1 or beta 2 or beta 3 is missing, you have to write epsilon in place of that beta 1, beta 2 or beta 3, and my beta 2 in this case is ES. So this is how you remove left factoring, and this is how you remove left recursion. This was about left recursion, and this is about left factoring. I hope this is understood to you all. In my next video, I will be teaching you how to find out first and follow. We will also see how to calculate parsing table, how to do stack implementation, and how a parse tree will be created. Thank you for patience listening.